Why are you moving? We've got ghosts. So just over a week ago, I put a post out on my community tab that we're going back into lockdown in England, and I kind of wanted to know what you guys wanted me to cook. And I had some great ideas from you, so thanks very much. But this is one of them. I picked one of you out of the comments. We're going to make a Lancashire hot pot. Oh yes, we are. And a few of you asked for slow cooker recipes. Now I'm doing mine in the oven, but you can absolutely do this in the slow cooker as well. Just brown the meat off in a pan, add the flour, deglaze with a bit of stock, get all the bits off the bottom of the pan, put that in the slow cooker with the veg, with the herbs, with the stock, everything else. Put the potatoes on top, put the lid on, cook it in the slow cooker for about 6 to 8 hours. The only thing you're not going to get is a nice crispy top on the potatoes. But if the inside of your slow cooker is oven proof, just take the whole thing out, whack it under the grill for 10 minutes, serve. But we're going to do it in the oven today the traditional way. All right, he's looking at the lamb I've got down here. Might give you a slither. But anyway, before we dive into it, remember, watch the whole video so you don't miss a step. I'll be knocking on your doors if you skip. And if you haven't done so, subscribe, click the bell icon, then YouTube will notify you when my beautiful face is on screen, cooking you delicious food. Now, all the ingredients you need are below the video in the description. I do get comments from time to time from people asking where all the ingredients and measurements are. They're below the video. So you've got the title, then underneath, I think if you're on desktop it says show more. If you're on a phone, there's like a little arrow. Go down into that, it's got everything you need. Oh, excuse me. Right, come on, let's get on with it. Get down here and have a look at my meat. Look at this beautiful specimen of meat. Now what I've got here is a blade end shoulder of lamb, which has also got part of the neck fillet attached to it as well. So I kind of got 2 cuts of meat here. You can use neck fillet or just ordinary shoulder of lamb, it doesn't matter. But you want the cheaper cuts because they're going to break down, go nice and tender over a long cooking period. Don't put your best end chops in there because it will cost you a flipping fortune. But what I'm going to do is take out this bone. Listen, I'm no butcher, so I'm just going to make a hack job of it. If you're not confident doing it yourself, get your butcher to do it for you. I didn't do too bad actually, considering I'm not a butcher. There's not really much meat left on there. Now I'm just going to trim this meat up a little bit because you do want some fat in there, but you don't want too much because it's going to make your finished hot pot greasy. I bet there's butchers watching this going, oh, what is he doing? You just want to remove that really sort of tough, leathery fat because it's not going to break down enough. And those really hard, dense bits of fat, just strip those out as well. And then you're kind of left with delicious lamb meat, guys. And the same principle applies when I made the beef stew, okay? You just want to cut it into nice big pieces, sort of like that size. So I'm going to whiz through this, and I'll see you in a bit.
Eventually.
Right, so I've chopped it up, and much like the beef stew, you can see all that fat and connective tissue. That's going to break down and make it lovely and tender. Would you like some lamb mogs? Would you like a small piece? Come get some. So it's lamb. Yeah, I thought you'd like that. Buddy, what did you think of the lamb? Is it nice? You're looking for more, aren't you? Say hello to everyone. So vegetable-wise, the only things going into this hot pot are carrots and onion. Obviously we've got the potatoes on top, but it's a very simple dish to make. So I've got an onion here, just do the usual thing and peel it. Ah, it's one of those flipping awkward onions. Get off. I'll be right back. Literally, we're just going to slice the onion up, nice and simple. Now because these carrots are so fresh, I'm not even going to peel them. I'm just going to take the knobby ends off and just dice it up into chunks. Can't wait. You ain't going nowhere, pal. Yeah, that sort of size. Nice chunky bits of carrot. Now these are organic carrots, so they tend to be a bit smaller. So just kind of eyeball it, you know, that much. If you've got bigger carrots, use less. So here then, I've got my fancy new pan. I'm just going to add a touch of oil, just plain vegetable or sunflower. Now I'm going to bring this pan up to temperature quite slowly because I've since learnt that enamel coating on cast iron needs a bit of care and a bit of love. So I don't want to blast it with high heat straight away because the enamel might crack. Okay, in goes the lamb. And listen, you know the drill, we need to get some colour on this lamb. We don't want grey, insipid meat in our hot pot. No siree. So take your time with it, 5-10 minutes, get some colour on there, then we'll get on to the next bit. Okay, so we've got a bit of colour on the lamb. and I've turned the heat right down, nice and low. And I'm just going to add a couple of tablespoons of plain flour. That's going to be our thickener. I just kind of mix that in with all the fat and juices from the lamb. Then we need to cook it out, okay? We don't want raw flour in the hot pot. And after a minute or so, I'm just going to add a touch of stock. And what this does is, as it kind of boils, it's going to lift off all the bits of meaty fond on the bottom of the pan, because you absolutely definitely want that in your hot pot. Next, I'm going to add the onions and carrots, a couple of bay leaves, just smush them up a bit, get them in, and also some finely chopped rosemary. Make sure it's finely chopped, because you don't want to bite into a big twig of rosemary now, do you? And also some Worcester sauce. Now, for my American friends out there, it's not Worcestershire sauce, it's pronounced Worcester sauce. Don't ask me why, it's just how it is. And that's going to add depth and a bit of acidity. Also going to add some pepper, plenty of black pepper, and just a pinch of salt. Be very careful, because, like I've said many times before, there's salt in the stock. You can always add a bit of extra salt before you eat it, but you can't take it away, so just be very, very careful. I've also got the oven on, I've preheated that to gas mark 3. So, next thing, onto the potatoes. Look at the size of these bad boys. They've been huge. Right, so our potatoes. What I'm going to do is just peel them quickly, and then you just need to cut it into slices. But what I like to do is just shave off a slither, just off the bottom, because it keeps it nice and stable and it doesn't roll around all over the place, and then you risk cutting yourself. And basically you just want to cut them into slices, kind of that thickness, which is a bit like a fat crisp. But listen, you don't have to wait around. I'm going to slice these up and I'll be back in a minute. And once you've kind of sliced all your potatoes up, all it's a case of doing is just kind of putting it on top of the hot pot. But listen, like, take your time with it, make it look nice, and just kind of overlap each one all the way around the edge. And then we've got the rest of the lamb stock, which I'm just going to pour over, and it will seep down into the pan. And you want the stock to come just underneath the potatoes. You'll see it come up the sides. I'm just going to add a touch of pepper and a small pinch of salt as well. Then I'm going to pop the lid on. That's a heavy lid. And that's now ready for the oven. Now listen, that's going to take a long time to cook. You're talking like 2.5 hours. That lamb's got to be nice and tender, but just check it halfway through. If it's drying out a bit too much, just add a bit more stock or a bit of water, just to kind of bring the liquid up. And for about the last half an hour, take the lid off, turn the temperature up to about gas mark 5. And like I keep saying, if you've got a decent oven, what it's going to do is make that top nice and crispy. My oven is trash, as we know, so I'm going to have to put it under the grill. But needs must, needs must. So you've got 2.5, maybe 3 hours to do what you want. Have a snooze, have a drink. I'm going to put my Christmas tree up. Yes, I know it's November, but after this year, I don't care. Christmas is coming early. Adam is bringing Christmas forward. Everyone put their trees up now. Get your lights on, get your silly Christmas jumper on, get your tree up. That's what I'm going to do. Ho, 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 ho. Rubbish tree in it, to be fair. Listen, look, it's got lights on it, baubles. I like those things. Leave me alone. But listen, Lancashire hot pot's done. Let's get it out the oven. Now, is that not a thing of beauty? But listen, we need to say it, don't we? That's going to be hotter than Satan's bum crack. If you bite into that, you will melt. So just leave it for 10 minutes, just to let it cool down slightly. And then I'm going to serve myself a portion, because, oh, it smells like heaven. It smells like heaven. It's very cold, so I've been faffing about. But let's try it. Let's get some potato, some of that lamb, bit of carrot. That's a big mouthful. Let's go in. Guys, I've outdone myself. That is fantastic. It's seasoned perfectly well. Now I'm serving it with some pickled red cabbage, because you've got to remember this is a very rich, fatty kind of dish. So you want something to kind of cut through that. So pickled cabbage it is. Come on. You've got to make this. It's so tasty. And it's got very few ingredients in it. And those potatoes have soaked up some of that lamb fat and the stock and all that flavour. And the gravy isn't too thick either. I think with a dish like this, you kind of want it in between somewhere like a broth and a gravy. Kind of in the middle. Not too thick, not too thin. Because if it's too thick, it's going to be too much. It's going to be too heavy. But there we have it. There's my Lancashire hot pot. Done and dusted. I've been meaning to do this for quite some time, but I needed to test it out first, tweak a few things. Because in my first version, I used chicken stock. Wasn't quite right. It was nice, just didn't have the right flavour. So definitely use lamb stock. It's so much better. But listen, what do you think of my Lancashire hot pot? If you're from Lancashire, I'd really like to know, is my version legit? I'm half tempted to inhale this whole thing, but I will be sick. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up, so I'll love and leave you. Thanks again for watching. Remember, if you enjoyed the video, like it, share it, put it onto your social media platforms. Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, all of them, just all of them, every single one. If you haven't got any accounts, open them up and just put my stuff on it. But anyway, I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see your gorgeous faces in the next video. And bye for now. I'm going to serve another portion of this because I've already scoffed that lot. But yeah, Lancashire hot pot, easy. Get it made, get it made.